Hey, it's Brian Gronkowski, and I am bringing you my second read and reflect um, from the book Read This to Get Smarter. And I'm really enjoying this book, and these three chapters have really taught me so much. Some of the things that I'm going to internalize from the first chapter, Getting Smarter About Disability, is that there is no default way that humans move or understand concepts or communicate with others or process or exist. I think that to categorize people and to assume that people should operate as under certain circumstances is just ridiculous. Um, I after through reading it, I found that ableism is everywhere, not just in architecture, but in popular media and in some common vernacular that we have, which I'll get to in just a moment. But one of the things that I'll take away from here is also understanding the intersectionality of disabilities, that some folks are experiencing multiple oppressive structures in various disabilities, and also being classified under their identities. Um, One thing that I thought was really striking, and kind of reminds me a little bit about Kate's grad seminar class. She had us read The Laziness Lie, and I thought it was very interesting how the economic model of disability, um, how how much of what we are worth depends on how much we contribute to economy. And I just think that capitalism is real gross, and and just the idea that people's worth is completely based on how much money they're bringing is just gross. And it reminds me of Kate's grad seminar class, where we're learning about the common good, an economy of the common good, and gross national happiness, and like what happens like if we were actually not placing so much importance on how they're affecting economy, how anybody is affecting economy. When I say there, um, so it boggles the mind. But also with the chapter, I have encountered terms that I will never ever use, and will also remind me of ableism as I am encountering other people using words um, that were listed in there. And so I come around with these chapters just thinking more and more about the way I navigate through life and the way that I want to be perceived, or just the way that I want to live with myself, not even be perceived by other people, but just the way that I want to present myself as a human. Um, the fifth chapter on race gave me a big clarification on race being a construct derived from our human oppressive systems, and that really made sense to me. I appreciated the timeline that the author gave to us that shows me really how race originated and how it became such a power play, and like how white supremacy played a big part in that. As I was reading through it, I was reminded of the documentary 13th on Netflix, which I watched as part of the fulfillments of another class in another degree program, but covers like the slavery to imprisonment pipeline, and I just found that fascinating. And I think that is related to what we've talked about in race, as far as like gentrification of neighborhoods and food deserts in neighborhoods. And I felt like the sections on intrapersonal racism, just thinking about us as individuals and what biases we have is very, very important to tackling bigger problems, such as interpersonal racism, which is what we see a whole lot of, and then institutional racism, which we also see a whole bunch of because, and it can be kind of a little bit more covert. Some of those institutional racism tenets can be a little bit more covert. So I will continue to be cognizant of the way that I am speaking to others as I am referring to race. And it just has kind of changed a little bit of my thinking towards just the whole concept of critical race theory and just the idea of race and where it originated from. So I thought that that chapter was very, very instructive and very helpful as I navigate through this life. And then the last chapter on sex, gender, and sexual identity is something that I am constantly thinking of. But I appreciated the way that the book really broke down the concepts of sex versus gender versus sexual orientation. I also found that under the sex section, the chromosome pairings were very interesting. I found it very interesting that there are like 6 chromosome pairings that are related to sex, and I thought that that was just really interesting, especially as I just navigate the world as a gay male and pretty open gay male, and so I just found it interesting, this chapter and all the stuff in the chapter. And I love the quote that the author used that I think the author quoted someone else, but gender is not what people look like to other people, it is what we know ourselves to be. And I think that that is what I'm going to quote people who are around me that don't understand gender identity and things. I think that's something that I can easily explain to people to help them figure out, hey, it's not about what you think anyone is. It's about who they think they are. And so I think that just gives me a good vocabulary as to how to do that. And then another quote that I just thought was wonderful and so inspiring is when we consider our perceptions of others to be more important than their reality, we're not only dehumanizing them, we also run the risk of misgendering them, which is harmful. And I think that that's another important thing to note is, like, why do we have to live in this society that's all about me, and I want to be the kind of person that is not always making things about me. I would like to see us, contributing with each other and full acceptance. But those are my observations, and thank you for listening to my video. Have a good night.